it's good to see everybody here tonight. I always look forward to sitting down with other conservative Americans and making a difference and talking and thinking about what's going on and what makes our country tick. Obviously, we're here for something pretty profound. Memorial Day is a big holiday. We call it a holiday because people are barbecuing, they're eating, they're spending times together. But let's take a step back, a little left of that, and let's think about what does this actually mean? What does this stand for? Memorial Day is a solemn event. For many of us, we have mixed emotions. In my time, I was blessed to be able to travel the world and fight on the ragged edge of freedom for our nation. I was blessed to work among heroes and people that I tell my children about day in and day out. We know that our nation is unique throughout history. What we do, generation by generation, is fight to uphold our nation's ideas, the ideals, the principles that we hold to be self-evident, so we can fight and pass those down to our children, so they can do the same. Those ideas, ideals, and principles are often paid for at the pointy edge of the sword, if you will, on that ragged edge of freedom by heroes. People who solemnly and openly volunteer all that they are and all that they could be for the sake of an idea, and that idea is this nation that we love. So as you go across this Memorial Day holiday, take time, enjoy what we fight for, enjoy the things we love, because all of the people that I've lost and we as a nation have lost, they would want you to. They would want you to partake in what makes this nation truly great. So do the barbecue, enjoy it, but remember, honor them. Take the time to go plant a flag, to say a prayer, but more importantly, take a time to go see that family down the road that lost their mom, their dad, their brother, their uncle. Take the time to invest in that family. If you can't do that, go online. Find a way to get involved with organizations like CBA or the American Legion, the VFW. There are many organizations. Because what we're fighting for and what we all love in this room will always be worth doing anything we can. If you can't volunteer and you can't go thank people in person, keep them in your prayers. And the last thing that I want to talk about in regards to Memorial Day is this. It shouldn't be just one day. We wake up every day grateful to be citizens of this country. Now we know right now, perhaps we are not at our finest moment. There are problems that we have to encounter and move beyond, but we will. Liberty will always prevail. Our nation is on the right side of God and the right side of history. I believe that. I fight for that. And I fought for that. And I pray that each of you uphold this solemn oath, the oath of our nation, in your hearts and in your heads, and lift up those families and lift up those ideas, ideals, and principles every day, because every day truly is Memorial Day because we are blessed. I'd ask you to enjoy your dinner. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'll come around and we'd love to shake hands and talk to each of you. Mike, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Wants me to introduce Stu. Stu, where are you at?
Right here.
All right, man. So it is rare that you get the opportunity to introduce somebody that is a friend, a colleague, and someone who you admire. They cut my mic off, my goodness. We all know who Stu is and what he stood for. When we focus as leaders on that ragged edge of freedom, we know that it comes at a cost to be a leader, and that cost is evident, and it's serving ourselves. That is the cost. Would you agree, Stu? We make a solemn oath to give all that we are and all that we could be, as we talked about. And Stu has embodied that. He's lived that. He was willing to risk everything for the idea that is liberty. that is freedom for all. I am truly grateful to be here today because, Stu, I love you like a brother. I would serve beside you anywhere, any day, and it's my great privilege to hand the mic off to an amazing leader and a human that I admire, Stu Scheller.
So Jay is literally a friend. So he was a guy that I got to hang out with, going through all my trials and tribulations when he was running for U.S. Congress, talked to DeSantis, jumped into the state Senate race. He's making a difference with the supermajority. So we just thank you for everything that you've been doing, Jay. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my story for 20 minutes, and then we'll do a question and answer. I'm a little bit more nimble on my feet in the question and answer. I don't like talking about myself as much. But I was a guy who was just a normal Marine. I was an infantry officer. I served as a platoon commander, company commander, and battalion commander. Served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And August 26th, 2021, I made some statements demanding accountability for my senior military leaders. Statements that I didn't believe were that radical. Statements that I think everyone believed to be true. But my life dramatically changed. So if you go back and you watch that video, I didn't take it lightly. I said that I knew I was risking my job, my retirement, my career. But it just seemed like no one was going to say what really needed to be said. And Jay kind of said it in the beginning. America is at a little bit of a weird time right now. It's almost like, especially in the military, people are willing to go into combat and risk their life, but no one's willing to risk their career or their retirement to do the hard thing. And so when everyone was talking about what an overwhelming success the evacuation was, I mean, I just couldn't think of a better example of military failure. And I could go through it, and we could talk all day about, withdrawing military troops before American personnel, abandoning Bagram Air Base, leaving 7,000 prisoners, using the Taliban for external security, then conducting a drone strike and killing nothing but women and children. Like, there's no better example of mistakes that were made. 2 minutes?
You're coming back.
Oh, I'm coming back on. I didn't know. I was like ready to go on this whole thing. What?
You're coming back.
All right.
We're going to get everything we can out of you.
All right. All right. Well, so I'll just say, that's the piece of me coming on and saying what I said. But my life changed, and there's some reasons why I did it, and there's some reasons that are still plaguing government bureaucracy, specifically the DoD, that I think is a vital interest to the American people and what we're doing. And so I guess I'm looking forward to talking to you about that. Like I said, I don't like to talk very long, so I'll go 20 minutes, but then hopefully we can generate some good questions and answers, and I'll be over here, and I look forward to talking to all of you.
Let me hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. We want to make sure that we get every opportunity to hear as much as we can from Stu. And what we want you to do is please help support he and his work by getting his book, coming over and meeting him, taking the opportunity to speak with him, and he will be our featured speaker later on this evening. But we want to make sure that everybody now is getting their food, getting their drink, because at 6:30 p.m. we're going to start out sharp with our ceremony, opening up with prayer, pledge, and prayer, pledge, and national anthem. So in the interim, if you will come up and see Dalton, what we had promised to do during this social is to let every one of the Republican Executive Committee presidents, if you're a president or say a vice chair of your club, we'd like you to see Dalton. He's going to keep a list, and right now we want to let the presidents introduce yourself with a brief 2-minute speech. What's your name? What's the name of your organization? When do you meet? Where are you at on social media? Where are you at on Facebook? Just a brief 2-minute round robin as we try and get ready for that 6:30 p.m. kickoff with the opening ceremony and the live call-in from Jeremy Brown and the rest of our featured speakers. Thank you very much. Jeff Dow, front and center. You got 2 minutes, buddy. Tell me all about what you're doing.
No microphone, huh?
No boy.
All right, my name is Jeff Dow. I served 10.5 years in the Navy. I was NSA for the first, well, actually the whole time I was in NSA Hawaii. I did 3 years on a ship out of Norfolk, and I came down here to SOCOM. How many veterans do we have in the room today? I know that all of us share, absolutely. I know all of us share one thing in common specifically, and that is all of us took our hand and raised it and swore an oath to this country. And I don't know about any of you, but my oath did not expire. And I started a podcast years ago, and on that same premise, I learned about something called the Republican Executive Committee. I learned that the Republican Party, of which I looked at and didn't recognize a lot of my values. I wanted to get in and change that, and I found there was an opportunity to do that by watching the Steve Bannon War Room Pandemic Show. He had somebody on that talked about joining the REC to make a difference. It is the only political party of which we actually can bring things forward, like resolutions, which may not by themselves have teeth, but collectively, if you get enough of the grassroots who are fighting on behalf of a specific topic, you can change things up in Tallahassee. So I thank State Senator Jay Collins for being here and for fighting for the state of Florida. The rest of us in any county that you live in, whether it's Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, Hernando, any of the other 63 counties in this state, you can join, you can make a difference. We get out, we door knock, we did it specifically in this last election cycle. Hillsborough has 350,000 Democrats here. There are 280,000 Republicans, and of the seats that were available, we picked up 76% of them within our party. That includes, of the 7 county commissioner seats, we took back 2 of them, which gave us the control of the county commission again. We took the new seat, Laurel Lee, that was available because so many people are flocking to Florida, which gave us more electoral votes, which meant more seats. And then lastly, State Senator Jay Collins picked up specifically the current mayor's mother-in-law, now former state senator Janet Cruz, had to go find a new job because we just elected Jay Collins to take care of it for us. And the last thing I'll say, a lot of times people will get up and they will talk about we need to do something. I agree, we do, but oftentimes it's empty on what that is. I recommend, if you live in Hillsborough, I don't know the other counties, but if you live in Hillsborough, go to hillsborough.gop. Something will pop up asking you for your information, fill it out, and one of our team will reach out to show you how you can help us on this grassroots movement take back. You save your country by saving your county.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Tim Driver, and I am the president of the Hillsborough County Black Republican Club. We are a new club that just got chartered this year, right around March of this year, so we're the new guys on the block. But we are a good 25 members strong and growing. And I see many faces that are either friends or have helped us out along the way. We're open to anyone who's looking to assist in helping the club do events and activities. And to be allies with us. We do welcome all allies to come and join us. We meet on the 4th Thursdays of every month. So we just had a meeting last night. Awesome meeting. Our locations vary from month to month. So we start at 6:30, but you have to check our website or our Facebook page. Our website is HCBRC, Hillsborough County Black Republican Club, .org. If you check the website or if you check our Facebook page, if you look for Hillsborough County Black Republican Club in Facebook, you can link to our Facebook page. You can go to our web page and it'll have the information for, or the location for the monthly event. Had a great event last night, had someone, a guest speaker come in and talk to us about legislation with regards to digital assets and Bitcoin. It was an amazing conversation, and we have speakers that come every month, and other events that we participate in on a monthly basis. I just want to say to all the veterans here, happy Memorial Day. My dad was a vet. He served in the Korean War in the Army. I have asthma, so I was not able to serve, but I do appreciate all of you who have, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. I'm Rick Coons, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Hillsborough Republican Executive Committee. You heard Jeff. You heard Jeff say look at hillsborough.gop, and so please do that. You'll see on the website different ways that you can be involved. Look, we are already full. I just want to tell you we have no more room for people to just talk. We need people to do things. We need people who want to get things done. So we hope that you'll do that you'll look at the site, that you'll come and that you'll join us. There's lots of opportunities. We need your ideas. We need your labor and your hard work. In just a moment, you'll hear from Carmen about some of the things that are going on in the county. So many good things, so many great things, and we just have the privilege of working with a great group of folks. We have 17 Republican clubs scattered throughout the county, so if you don't have time to go or the opportunity to go to our meetings on those Tuesday nights, please find one of those clubs and ways that you can become involved. We really need your help. We have a lot to do. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Carmen Edmonds, and I'm the chair of the Precinct Development Committee. Jeff's already kind of touched on it. I caught the tail end of what he's doing. But what we're doing, if you wonder what a precinct committee man or woman is, you're an elected official, and a lot of people join and then they don't know what to do. So we're really getting our training up and going to teach you what your responsibility is as that elected official. You sign a candidate oath, and then there's work to do. And it's kind of this tension because you're an elected official, but it's also a volunteer, so you can't force volunteers to do what they don't want to do. But we had a chair meeting this week, and our chair, Dana Galen, said, Carmen, how many volunteers do you need to help get you doing what you need to do? And I said, how many members do we have of the REC? It's 330 something. I said, I need that many volunteers because we need everyone activated and working, and especially going into 2024, you guys, if we don't get out there and knock doors and get people out to vote, our voter turnout for 2022 primary elections for Republicans was less than 35%. We're not going to get good school board people on the school board if we show up in primaries like that. And we have to educate Hillsborough County on the importance of primaries and the importance of getting out there and voting. And we're going to have to pivot and start looking a little bit like the Democrats. We're going to have to do mail-in ballots. We're going to have to do all the things legally that the Democrats are doing and chase ballots and get out there. But we can't do it with just a group of 30 of us for our county. We got to get everyone activated. So like everyone said, we would love for you to join us. If you don't want to be a candidate, a precinct committee man or woman, we need volunteers. And there's all kinds of things. You don't have to knock doors. We have bag stuffing parties. We have a really fun group of people. So bag stuffing parties, you can donate water, you can donate to your elected officials. And I really highly recommend don't donate to the RNC. Stop giving to the guys at the top. Do local. We've got Lizette Bonanno back there. She ran for office. We have other elected officials, Jay Collins, everyone. If you can just give to their campaign locally, your money 100% is going to them to get them elected. It's not going to some big whatever out there, win red. So give local and get involved.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you. I'm Jeff Wilkins. I'm the president of the Riverview Republican Club. If you live in Riverview, we'd like to have you come join us. We meet on the last Monday of every month at the Riverview Library. The last Monday of the month is actually Memorial Day this month, so we're going to be meeting on Tuesday the next day, May 30th. So please look for us. We have a Facebook site, and we announce all our things at that time. I am also the election integrity chairman for the REC, and thank you. So, you know, who in this room thinks the election in 2020 was stolen? Let me tell you what. If they stole it and they were successful stealing it, so success is rewarded by repeat activity, right? So they're going to try to do it again. Hello? So we need to have as many poll watchers and even poll workers
you know, all the poll workers here in Hillsborough are predominantly, like 2/3 of them are Democrats. We need to have more Republicans just working the polls. So keep that in mind. Let me know if you're interested in getting involved in any of this. We will train you on how to be a poll watcher, and we will refer you over to the supervisor of elections if you want to be a poll worker. Poll workers and poll watchers are two different things. So, you know, with this election coming up, if we lose this election, the country as we know it is over, folks. You know, America is just not going to be the same anymore. We've gone through a lot already. This one we have to win. Everybody has to be involved. Bring all your friends. Get out there and do all the stuff Carmen was talking about. Do all the election integrity things. Just do all the things you can possibly do. Okay, that's all I can say to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. My name is Paul Ray. I am the chairman of the Military and Veterans Affairs Committee of the REC, but additionally, I'm a member of the Temple Terrace Area Republican Club. We meet right here the first Thursday of every month, ttrc.org, and Hillsborough County Military and Veterans Affairs Committee. I also have an email address for that. If anybody's interested, you don't have to be a member of the REC to be a member of the committee. We're always looking for volunteers that can help us out. But if you live in this area and you want to join a really fine club that gets a lot done, the Temple Terrace Area Republican Club is a place you want to be. Thank you.
I'm Kevin Wright. I'm chairman of the Manatee County Republican Liberty Caucus. In the spirit of, thank you, in the spirit of Memorial Day, I remind you, Vice Chairman Joe Lightenberger is here. He's an Army veteran. He's also a veteran of law enforcement in Manatee County. I'm a 24-year Army veteran. I served 2 combat tours in Iraq, and my father's career enlisted Air Force. Okay, beyond that, the Republican Liberty Caucus, I think I need to remind folks, we're neither chartered nor affiliated with the Republican Party. We are the conscience of the Republican Party. We stand for 3 pillars. Any one of these 3 pillars goes away, it falls over. Constitutionally limited government, individual rights and responsibilities, and free enterprise, free markets. Period. Everything else in the Republican Party platform rests on those 3 things. If any one of those 3 fails, it is. We're not about preserving the Republic at this point. We are about restoring the Republic. Yeah. That's the position we put ourselves in. So, if you want to know more about what we do, but hey, that's the beauty of it. We're at the Hillsborough Republican Liberty Caucus meeting right here, and they will spout the same thing I am because we are united in those things. We're like snowflakes. We're all snowflakes, but we're all different. We're all different. You can go check us out at the table over there in San Angelo. You can talk to me or Joe. Be happy to. That's all I have.
Thank you. Good job. Good job. Hey, we're doing a good job. The idea is make sure we're exercising our First Amendment, and we're getting all the club presidents to come up here and speak. So I'm going to finish it off with Kurt. He's going to be talking about our chapter, our organization, and then what I want to make sure that everyone is attuned to is that right at 6:30 p.m., we're going to start our opening ceremony, and we're going to try and stay right on time with the prayer pledge and the national anthem, because right after that, we're going to have a very special call-in from a Patriot, Jeremy Brown. He's going to call in. He's going to talk to us live. We're going to give him a hoo-yah, God bless America, make sure he hears us, and then we want to hear what he has to say, and then all those other featured speakers will be coming up. So right now, let me introduce Mr. Kurt. No, I call him General Kurt. General Kurt Christensen.
No, I was Lieutenant Colonel, not a general. Well, I've been a general. I didn't sell my soul, so I didn't be able to get there. No, I'm the Hillsborough Republican Liberty Caucus Vice Chairman. Our chairwoman right there, Lily, serving the food back there. We meet the 3rd Tuesday of the month here at the Temple Terrace Republican Club. 6 o'clock, we have our social hour. You're all welcome to join. Lots of REC members too. As like Kevin said, we're the conscience of the Republican Party. We're here to hold them accountable. If we can't hold ourselves accountable, how can we hold the Democrats accountable? So we must do that. I encourage you to get involved. The RLC gives you a little more freedom to speak your mind. We can also endorse in the primaries. We also have scorecards that we use at the county levels where we grade our county positions, our county commissioners, our school board members. So we're in that business of accountability. So please join us. I'm glad I have my rec vice chair here tonight. Hopefully he'll join us too. So it's great to be here. Enjoy the evening. It's great to see a fantastic Patriots and these wonderful veterans and non-veterans alike. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you will please rise for the presentation of the colors and the commencement of our opening ceremony.
So you'll put that in proximity.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Present terms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tim Driver. I don't see him. And now, Lillian Pride will lead us in the singing of the national anthem.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Mike's got this beautiful command voice and everything. I'm going to need to use this mic. So.
Lillian, my apologies. Will you lead us off also with a brief prayer before you sing the national anthem?
Yes. Lord, we have a wonderful group of people here today, and all from different backgrounds, and I just want to thank you for each and every one of them, and the heart to do good in the Hillsborough County area. My hope and my request is that you would help the good that we want to do to be effectually done, and that you would guide us so that when we walk forward, we walk in your will, and help us to be iron that sharpens iron, and to accomplish things that are wonderful and for your will in our county. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
And I would also like to invite everybody to sing along so that I don't choke.
You got this, Lily. Present terms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, where stood gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
please. Forward, move.
Jeremy Brown, rank, United States Army Special Forces Master Sergeant, retired. Serial, inmate 675-47509. I enlisted in the United States Army in 1992 at the age of 17. I graduated Infantry 1 Station Unit Training, Airborne School, and the Ranger Indoctrination Program at Fort Benning, Georgia, and was assigned to the 2nd Platoon Bravo Company, 1st Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment at Honor Army Airfield, Georgia, where I served as a senior machine gunner and then Ranger Rifle Team Leader. In 1995, I attended the Special Forces Assessment and Selection and was selected as a Special Forces Weapons Sergeant. In 1997, I earned my Green Beret and was assigned to Operational Detachment Alpha 176, 3rd Battalion, 1st Special Forces Group in Tacoma. In 2001, I graduated the Special Forces Qualification Course again as a Special Forces Communication Sergeant and was assigned to ODA 771, 3rd Battalion, 7th Special Forces Group at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. In 2006, I was selected to be a Special Forces recruiter because I was on the Special Forces recruiting poster. In 2007, I was selected and promoted to Master Sergeant and was assigned to 5th Special Forces Group, where I had the honor of taking the first new military streetball detachment into combat since the forming of the Special Forces Regiment as the Team Sergeant of ODA 5414 in 2009. In 2010, I was assigned to be the non-commissioned officer in charge of the J3X Special Activities Branch of Special Operations Command Central, and in 2012, I retired. I worked as an instructor at the Joint Special Operations University as a Booz Allen Hamilton contractor. I built the premier luxury transportation company in the Tampa Bay area, Blue Moon Transportation. I ran for U.S. Congress in 2020, and with the help of many in this room, I ran for state representative for District 62 in 2022 from the jail cell at the Pinellas County Jail. Currently, I have been forced out of Special Forces retirement by using my 2 decades of Special Operations training and experience to support and defend the United States Constitution and the American people by taking on the corrupt and compromised Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice by exposing their crimes against the American people as a targeted and framed political prisoner of war. And I have it all recorded and documented. You can contact me and learn more at jeremybrown.com and follow my team of supporters on Twitter at JMBFreedom or at In the Fusion Cell. May liberty be restored, and my brothers and sisters not have given the ultimate sacrifice in vain. May God restore and bless America. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, now, that is Pastor Tim now. I've got to start saying that. I'm not used to saying Pastor Tim. Back in March of this year, I became the assistant pastor of Victory Baptist Church in South Tampa. So if you're ever in the South Tampa area, we have service on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. So please bow our heads. In the quiet sanctuaries of our own hearts, let each of us name and call on the one whose power is over us, is great and gentle, firm and forgiving, holy and healing. You who created us, who sustain us, who is calling us to live in peace, please hear our prayer this day. Gracious Lord, on this Memorial Day weekend, we remember and give thanks to those who have given their lives in the service of our country. When the need was greatest, they stepped forward and did their duty to defend the freedoms that we enjoy and to win the same for others. Oh God, you ourself have taught us that no love is greater than which gives itself for another. These honored dead give the most precious gift they had, life itself. For loved ones and neighbors, for comrades and country, and for all of us. Help us to honor their memory by caring for their family members they left behind, by ensuring that their wounded comrades are properly cared for, by being watchful caretakers of the freedoms for which they gave their lives, and by demanding that no other young men or women follow them to a soldier's grave unless the reason is worthy and the cause is just. O Holy One, help us to remember that freedom is not free, that there are times when it is a cost, and the cost is indeed dear. Never let us forget those who paid so terrible a price to ensure that freedom would be our legacy. Though their names may fade with the passings of generations, may we never forget what they have done. Help us to be worthy of their sacrifice. And may the peace of God be with us all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Pastor Tim. Liz Banana.
I don't mind them calling me Liz, but I'm Lisette. That's okay. Yes, I'm Lisette Bonanno. I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel, Army, and I was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, so I know the story very well, Stu. Okay, I'm so proud of you. I keep saying it over and over. I'm glad what you did. I also share with him I worked at the Joint Staff, so I know how political it is there too. Can you guys see me? So yes, I ran for office in last year. I not only answer the call to serve and defend this nation, this great nation that we still got to fight for, because we see socialism entering and accelerating right before our eyes. I've been saying that since I jumped into the race last year, and we've got to position ourselves and fight to push back. So my dad, I am a daughter of a Vietnam veteran. That's where I learned most, all the toughness, and he was an Italian, so, and grew up with 4 brothers, so. The Italian side of the Vietnam. Yes, so anyway, it's so, I'm proud to be here today and blessed to be here today because, I did go to war. I knew my risk, and but I also knew the cause. And I did leave 2 children behind when I went to war, and I had to serve, and they understood it too. They were always bragging about their mom in combat boots. So I still would do it today. And I want to dedicate this day to not only my father, who did die in February 2020 due to Agent Orange, but also for the Gold Star families, for those that Biden administration left behind. I still work those cases, Afghan cases that are still, the guys that are still over there with their families, we help feed them wherever they're hiding. So they stood beside us and they helped us with our missions. Stu can tell you that. A lot of lives, American lives were saved because of them. So we've got to, those that are still serving and those that have lost their lives, let's dedicate this day to them. And I'm glad you're honoring them and doing this event and not just barbecuing and having a social great time. So thank you so much for having me here today.
Senator Collins and Pastor Tim pointed out, this shouldn't just be one day. So I'm going to introduce Town Hall Patriots President Audra Christian.
All right, guys, I'm Audra Christian, and yes, the rumors are true. You haven't heard them? You're gonna have to dig around. They're really great. About 3 years ago, I started out as a regular person. I'm not military, I'm not high ranking, nothing like that. I'm just an average Joe, but I'm married to a Leo. And during the Summer of Love, I took about as much as I could take. And do you guys remember the Back the Blue mural in Tampa? You remember that? I did that. You're welcome. Felony level vandalism. Felony level vandalism. That's exactly what that was. But you know what? We got tired of sitting around. I wasn't going to be pushed any further, and we acted. And you know what happened? The mural painting stopped. Do you remember that? Yes. It stopped. So it takes regular people. You don't have to be a high-ranking anything. You can just be a normal Joe and make a massive difference in your country and in your area. So after I got finished hiding from the law, and literally they're coming to our doors. We're like, don't answer the door. You know, we ended up creating a Patriot movement in Pinellas County. It kind of got fractured in Hillsborough, but in Pinellas County we were really, really healthy. And once I realized that I had to stay out of trouble for 2 years because, you know, the felony level vandalism, I counted the 2 years. So August of 2022 was the end of my 2 years of where I had to behave. So guess what, Hillsborough? I'm back. It is time to rally the troops in Hillsborough County, okay? We're Patriots, we're America First. We are not against the GOP, we're for the GOP. We are the GOP. So it's time to go back into the GOP and shake the pillars until you get what you want. Do you agree with that? Yes. All right. So what we do in Town Hall Patriots is we are more like a hub or a big room where every group can come together. And you know, it feels good to walk into a room like this where it's full, doesn't it? Of people that think like you and behave like you and all of that. Imagine if it was twice as full. Imagine if it was 3 times as full. And then what happens is it becomes like a Patriot, America First brainchild. Ideas start popping out. You get Patriot chambers. You get all kinds of amazing things. You get teachers standing up. Do you guys know in Pinellas County we have teachers that stand up for what's right? Yeah. Okay, we have that, public school teachers. So I would say stick together. You can have a strong America First movement here. Don't work against the GOP, work with the GOP. Just remind them that you guys are the GOP already, okay? So anyway, I'm Audra Christian. You can look for me on social media. I'm not selling anything because I work. So anyway, have a great day, guys. Thanks for having me.
I'm tracking myself as well. Hi everybody, so my name is John Carroll. Mike asked me to be able to speak here today, and I'll be honest, I was talking with Kurt earlier, this is my first time speaking for something like Memorial Day. You know, a lot of us vets, we tend to be pretty solemn at that time, and he wanted me to speak about other stuff which I'll get into, but the thing for me that Memorial Day always sticks out is, you know, I did 4.5 years in the Army. I was medically retired. I did a 15-month tour in Iraq, and it's solemn for me because, you know, I had lost 6 of mine over in Iraq and Afghanistan, you know, and so it's always a tough time for me. That's why I tend to be solemn. And like Jay and everyone else was saying, you know, it should be more than one day, and I could at least say that I live it more than one day every day because, you know, we have like the black KIA bracelets, and I usually don't show them because politics ain't ready for tattooed Republicans, but I wear the names of my 6 that I lost on my arms. So so for me every day it's a memorial, as I'm showing right here. So, but it's stuff like that that made me wonder. 5 of the 6 I lost didn't even reach the age of 23. One of them only made it to not even his 29th birthday, so when I became 29, it hit me that I outlived all of them. So it's stuff like that that made me think, and you know, like a lot of us vets that if we've survived or if we lost somebody, we wonder, like, you know, why is it that we got to survive, why do we get to keep going? And a lot of us try to live life as much as possible because they couldn't, because they can't anymore. They gave their lives in the ultimate sacrifice. And what I always try to do is I try to serve and help out as much as I can. I'm not perfect, but I've done what I can. You know, I got medically retired from the Army, and I found other ways to continue serving. During my entire time in the Army, and for a total of 11 years, I continued serving with the Coast Guard Auxiliary. That's a way for people to check out, or the Civil Air Patrol. You know, I've been involved in volunteer groups, many Republican and political groups. I've been able to serve on local boards and committees, which I recommend to people, and I've done. You know, I was lucky back in October, the governor appointed me housing commissioner in my county, so I continue serving like that. One of the things Mike wanted me to talk about is, you know, I get involved, I've been teaching like elections training for people, and I'm going to be doing it again. We just got scheduled to do it in Pinellas and do all that. I don't ask for money, I don't charge at all, because I'm trying to serve and help out people as much as possible in any way. I want to help as many people come to fruition, get their plans, do all this as much as possible. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that I could say for everybody, for all of us vets. You know, one of the things that adds to me wanting to serve so much is, and every single person, every single vet in here probably is going to get annoyed, the colonel might get annoyed with this, is, you know, I only did one deployment. You know, my recruiter did 7 between the Gulf War, Kosovo, Bosnia, and Iraq. And so I always, you know, I always thought that I didn't do enough. And every single time I've said that, I have an older, crusty Vietnam vet that says, shut up, you did your part, you did more than most. And which I appreciate that, but that's what leads me to keep going. You know, my thing is to help out other people as much as possible. I know sometimes some people feel I might, maybe there's some things that I cut against the grain. Sometimes I'm a little blunt on stuff, but it's literally just what I do. I want to help out, I want to serve other people, you know, I live to serve. One little cheap fun fact is, I always thought, you know, the motto of the Prince of Wales is, I serve. It's in German, I'm not going to bother saying it, but it's I serve. And that's basically my motto as well, just with stars and stripes instead of the Union Jack, is I serve the people. I truly enjoy it, I like helping people, I like doing what I can. And so, I just implore that to everybody, you know, live your life, enjoy your life as much as possible. If you've had a loved one, you know, that passed away, whether in war, whether in law enforcement, first responder, or just in general, live life as much as you want, that you can enjoy, and the way that they would want as well. Find that correlation. I travel the state almost every weekend just for leisure. I try to travel the country, and I also spend the time helping others. So I think the best way to memorialize anybody we've lost is to continue living life and do some of the things that they enjoyed as well. And in those ways, you can bring back those bonds that you had with them. So my time's just about done. I appreciate it. And like I said, this is the first time I've ever spoken on Memorial Day. Like I said, I usually keep to myself. And to every single veteran, every single first responder veteran, every single person like George who survived 9/11, you know, salute every single one of you. I appreciate everybody. And just because we're not in uniform or just because we're not doing that anymore doesn't mean we don't still serve. Like Jeff said, our oath didn't stop the second we took off the uniform. So serve your community, serve your people, and serve with joy. So thank you.
Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. First and foremost, I'm a Christian, I'm an ambassador of Christ, so faith is a very important part of my life. My name is David Wallace, and as you can see, I'm not from Hillsborough County. I'm from Pasco County. I'm one of those Republicans that flooded to Florida, and I brought my conservative mindset with me. I've been involved in politics since 2008 when the Tea Party was born, and my local county commissioners told me they were going to double my property tax, and I went to the meeting and they told me to shut up and sit down because I was creating too much of a disturbance. And as a Marine, I retired in the Marine Corps from 1984 to 2004. So, but as a Marine, these county commissioners just challenged me. So I got involved in local politics, ended up becoming the local kingmaker in a small pond, the chairman of the Republican Party. Of course, when you throw your name around or you throw your voice around, a lot of times they're going to tell you to throw your hat in the ring. So I did. I was elected as the treasurer of our local taxing entity, which is a community college. So I was the trustee of a community college. I was involved heavily within the Republican Party back in 2008 all the way up through 2016, and then I walked away from it because I had done what I accomplished to do. One of the things that's near and dear to me, and I fight that fight here in Florida, is the Bill of Rights are not a suggestion. And in the state of Kansas, we were the 13th state to adopt constitutional carry. So when I moved to Florida and I realized I had to start wearing clothes again because it made people feel uncomfortable, I decided to get involved in Florida politics. So I immediately joined the Republican Executive Committee. And when I was in the Executive Committee, being that I was an activist, I went to all the REC clubs, and basically I found no platform for my activism. And then someday, I just ran into the Republican Liberty Caucus. And you've heard a couple of them here, this Hillsborough County Charter caucus right here. In the Republican Liberty Caucus, you have a voice in the primaries, and the primaries are when your races are truly won. So I am now the chairman recently of the Republican Liberty Caucus of Pasco County.
All right.
In addition to that, I believe in the Republican Party. I believe in the platform. I just believe the Republicans need to read it. And once you read the platform, you understand what conservatism really is. So I also threw my name in the hat to become, in 2024, I'm actually running for office for the state committee man of Pasco County. Which leads me to this event. I am having a mirror event in Pasco tomorrow night, and the theme of it is moral courage and its cost. And when I started studying on that, because it's Memorial Day weekend, it's very important to us veterans, I ran into Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller on LinkedIn, and I asked him if he would come to Tampa area and talk. So he's coming to speak tomorrow night at my event. And I ended up running into Mike Cartwright at the quarterly meeting. We actually were roommates, and by the way, he snores very loud. But Mike Cartwright was like, listen, we need to get Stu to come down here to Hillsborough County. So we got them hooked up. Thank you, Stu, for accommodating the multiple events that we got scheduled for you. We appreciate your flexibility. Semper Fi, always, you know, that Semper Gumby in the Marine Corps, always flexible. But why I'm here is, I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps. I fought in every type of environment, from the jungles of the Philippines to the deserts, and went to the sandbox a couple times. I was actually in Kosovo in the snow when we got to where we were going in again. So we got in our vehicles and drove to Greece, got on the boat, went through the Suez Canal, put our desert camis on, and did a beach assault within 72 hours. So that every climate place in the Marine Corps hymn, it's true. But with all that being said, when I get back here, having fought all those foreign enemies, my oath is still true. And I find myself fighting that same battle with our elected officials who don't understand that the Bill of Rights are not a suggestion. And here in the free state of Florida, I'm here in this political process for one purpose, and that's for constitutional carry in the state of Florida. And hopefully through the Republican Party, we can re-educate the Republicans that are currently in leadership, that the current leadership, like our senator that was here earlier, he's a fighter for the Second Amendment. We just need to get him in a leadership position so that the Republican Party of Florida can have legislation to get us constitutional carry, and the governor can actually complete a promise that he promised us. That's all I got, guys.
All right.
I don't store, and I don't sleep with a large .45 caliber strapped around me.
I do.
Oh boy.
George. Oh. Yes. You went to think about your snoring. How you doing? My name is George Corolla, and I am, thanks to John said, I was a 9/11 survivor. There's a lot of veterans here that went to war because of 9/11, which I appreciate that very much. But the biggest enemy in the battle we have is right here in America, in this country. And we have it as good as evil. Evil is good now, and good is evil. That's how they think. And what happened, a lot of people don't understand that there were two different entities besides the New World Order that we know. But we had the deep state and the establishment. And the deep state and the establishment have joined forces together. And what they did is the Republicans have a big thing to do with it also, the Democrats, that they weaponized the DOJ and the FBI. I think, and I think everybody knows I'm a big Trump supporter. I've been loyal to him since he came down those escalators. And what's important to him, the biggest important thing, is to straighten out and love this country, because he was guided before by plenty of enemies. And I think when he comes back in, he'll clean house. I really believe he would. And he's the only one that has the cojones. I would usually say balls, but because of the Brooklyn in me, but he does have them, and it's amazing. And he has a very good memory. He remembers everybody. It's amazing what he does. And I was invited to the announcement on November 14th, when he made his announcement. And what he said was important words to me. And what the words were, I am announcing my presidency for the United States of America. He did not say 2024. He says, I'm announcing my presidency for the United States of America. And we are a constitutional republic. This democracy word has got to be buried. It can't be said, it can't be told. It's a bunch of BS, bullshit. And it ain't gonna, and we have to change it. Now, we all know that the elections were stolen. We all understand that. They'll deny it. I mean, I think President Trump did a great job in front of CNN. He burnt that place down very good.
Oh yeah, he burned down stuff.
They went down in flames. I mean, the numbers were good because everybody watched them. But, and if you notice that they had a rebuttal after the CNN thing, and Byron Donalds, which is, believe it or not, he's a kid from Brooklyn. He ain't gonna take no shit either. And I expect him to be the next governor of Florida. Now, if you notice, like I said before, the most important thing to President Trump, and he's still president, I won't change his number, it says 45 on here, and we have Born to Ride for 45, my organization. I did about 155,000 miles already on my motorcycles. I've been to 26 states. I spoke at a lot of states and try to straighten out and make people understand about the enemy we have here. I'm out of breath because I just discovered I had COPD 2 months ago, or 3 months ago. I think it was after my birthday. I always get a birthday present from some kind of illness from 9/11. Anyway, but the man over there, he's got a set. Let me tell you. And I respect this man. And there ain't too many of these people around that respect this country and just ask a simple question. And remember, this is not a socialist thing that they're doing. They're right to the Marxism. They went, and Trump said there will be no socialism in this country, which he was right. We went right to Marxism. So this is what they're doing. They're attacking our children at school. I don't know why they accept this 1% of the population of the transgenders and forcing this stuff with all the pink and everything. I got 11 seconds already. You're sweating on your head.
Finish strong.
Yeah. And the thing is Florida is free. We have to expect. I would be surprised if we have another division of this country. So, yeah, well, keep on praying for this country. Make sure you pay attention to pastors. And remember about the Black Robe Regiment, which is very important. Pastor, are you listening? Black Robe Regiment? Not because of the color, but they were very important in the revolution.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is R.L. Hill. I'm president of the Patriots for America. If you notice, I didn't say Republican Party. However, we are independent, but we are working with all the groups in the county that are constitutional conservatives, which includes the REC. So we just moved from Town and Country to Carrollwood at the Messiah Baptist Church there in Carrollwood. So if you're in that area.
Lutheran.
What? Lutheran. That's why I brought her. I apologize. Lutheran. So if you're in that area, stop by. We meet on the 4th Thursday of the month from 6 Tuesday. In Town and Country it was Thursday. Here, do you want a hand over this? So we're here to work with everybody and provide a little entertainment along the way. What everybody's talked about this evening is we are in total support of. But what I wanted to take 2 minutes to talk to you about was one of the initiatives that we had was that we wanted to give back to the community. And we couldn't think of anybody more deserving than our veteran groups. So we come up with 2 initiatives. One, we support the homeless shelter run by the Salvation Army in downtown Tampa. 1 month we provide them with supplies because some individuals come in off the street with nothing but on their back, clothes on their back. So we provide toiletry items for them. Also we take cash donations which are only used for the veterans in that shelter. And they use that for bus passes to find employment and places to live. Our second initiative, which we operate every other month, is Corsos for Heroes, which is a tent outside the facility as you came in. Harry Toro is the owner-operator. He's not a rich man. He does this on his own. We have these gatherings and attend events such as this to raise support. His food bill for his dogs is $300 a week. To date, these are cane Corso dogs, top bloodline in the country, and to date we've given service dogs to 30 individuals, first responders. Thank you. And veterans that suffer from TBI and PTSD. So right now the good news is we have 9 puppies. We have 2 recipients. So if you know of anybody or can contact anybody that's a veteran or first responder that is at the top of the list, we can't think of anybody more deserving than combat wounded veterans. So those are our first priority, but we do first responders and veterans. Perfect timing, Harry. This is Harry Toro on the green shirt. If you would give him a hand for what he does. And it's Messiah Lutheran Church in Carrollwood.
On Friday, 4 in the afternoon.
On Tuesday. It was Thursday before. Give me a break. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Kathy, and I'm a Reformed Flaming Liberal. And I got that way because my father was a lieutenant colonel in the Army, helicopter pilot, retired a Vietnam War veteran. And I was the middle child, so I rebelled like all middle children do, and I ended up in California, and I was really indoctrinated. That's how I know how the left thinks. And so because of that experience, I was kind of mandated to read a book by Saul Alinsky.
Oh yeah, Rules for Radicals.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I read it.
And so about 5 years ago, after I became an independent for about 25 years, thanks to Ross Perot, and then I became Republican in 2015, thanks to President Trump.
Yeehaw.
I was in a real bad accident, and I had nothing left to do with my life. So I sat down and I thought to myself, what is my next career? And I remembered Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. 13 tactics he had in there, designed to transform our country to communism. And I wondered why nobody was talking about it. Nobody was paying attention to these 13 tactics. So I decided to write a book called Rules for Deplorables, a primer for fighting radical socialism. And people ask me, why didn't you call it a primer for fighting radical communism? I said, because Americans don't even know socialism was at our doorstep 5 years ago, right? They would have thought I was a loony bin, a conspiracy theorist. So with my book, my entire life changed. And I started going around Florida speaking and trying to get people to wake up to what was coming because of my experience. You know, our founding fathers didn't even have experience in government, and yet every one of them pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor.
Yes, ma'am.
A bit as Stu did. Thank you so much, sir, for standing up for our country. If only we had more like him, like Jeremy Brown.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeremy Brown, for standing up for our Constitution, because as far as I'm concerned, if we do not control our elections, folks, we have lost our country. And if we don't stand up for the January 6ers, for the whistleblowers, we have lost our Constitution.
That's right. That's right.
And if we have lost that, you may as well go home and sit in a corner. There is no option anymore. The only people who are not standing up for our country right now and giving those three up, if you're not giving up your life, your fortune, and your sacred honor, you don't have any clue what's heading our way. Please wake up. We have precious little time left. So this is the message I go around sharing, because I know that our government, as of 1 week after that phony in our White House got selected, he passed through our DHS a bulletin that started this whole terrorism thing off, where he was saying, basically, they've been narrating the fact that Patriots are terrorists for a long time now. This is not just in the past couple of years. However, now they're going after who? I heard some Lutherans out there. You're next. I hope you know that. Catholics. They're actually putting infiltrators into the confessionals now. Did you know that? They're coming after all of us. There is no escape, folks. So you can either go home and stand in your corner and cower now, or you can be a part of saving our country. And if you think there's nothing for you to do, trust me, there is plenty. If you can't get out and join some of these groups, REC, I'm in total agreement, that is the local control group right there. But if you can't do any of that, folks, you can donate. Donate. Help these folks. The government is trying to take them down and bankrupt them. JeremyBrownDefense.com. God bless you all. Thank you for all the veterans here tonight.
Hello, folks. My name is Paul Hodgkins. I am both excited and also very humbled to be able to be here and speak with you tonight. I want to give a special thank you to both Michael Cartwright and Kurt Christensen for including me in this. Thank you very much. I am originally from Boston, Massachusetts. I've happily lived here in Tampa, Florida for the last decade. I personally do not have any military background to speak of. However, in 2000, I achieved the rank of Eagle Scouts. And these last several years, I have become a very active member of my community, been very politically active, doing what I can to help our cause. Much like one of our earlier guest speakers, Jeremy Brown, I also, probably my biggest claim to fame is that I am also a January 6th prisoner. I was actually the very first person from the ordeal who was sentenced to prison. Some people since then have talked to me about this, and they've said to me that I made quite a sacrifice in that. Even if that is true, then that really does pale in comparison, you know, to the sacrifice that so many men and women of our armed forces have made through the years, and that is a gross understatement. Okay, this ranges all the way from, you know, our founding fathers who fought to win our country's independence in the American Revolution, all the way, you know, to the 13 soldiers we tragically lost in the Afghan withdrawal, the later of which never ever should have been. Both of my grandfathers and several of my uncles were all veterans of the Second World War. Now, thankfully, they all came home afterwards, you know, and lived their lives. But oftentimes I think of many children from my generation who grew up, you know, never knowing their own grandfather, you know, never had the experience of having their grandfather and uncles the way I did, you know, and my heart really goes out to them. You know, the greatest gift that we have, that you can have, is the gift of life. And the most precious thing that we have is time. I mean, well, we got to use this holiday to really, really sink in and consider these things. You know, and that these people made this sacrifice, you know, for the better of all of us, you know, for our country that we love. You know, it goes from a spectrum of things that we take for granted each day. So, but going forward, you know, something that I truly wish is that, as admirable as that sacrifice that has been made is, I would love to imagine a time where no soldier going forward would have to make that sacrifice ever again. Now, that may be something that's not easy, but I believe it is something that is possible by way of peace through American strength. You know, something that I know is something that we all work together, work hard to achieve in our causes. I do hope that, you know, especially over the next year or so, that I can use this time, you know, the last few years' experience that I've had, as difficult as it may have been, but I wish to use that and do what I can to be helpful and deliver a positive message to things in our cause. Because I believe we will win, and I want to do everything I can to be a part of that. And I know what everyone here does as well. You know, we have a lot of things that trouble us these days, things that stress us out, you know, things that, you know, every day runs through my mind. I believe better times are ahead. You know, we're all going to get there. So we need to continue to be strong, be tough, be a part of things, and always remember, God bless America, and God bless those who kept America what it is. Thank you.
Jimmy.
Hello, my name is Jimmy T. Smith, and I'm with Concerned Veterans for America. So who here believes in limited government? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Okay, because I'm about to challenge you on that. I absolutely am. Are you ready? What is the second largest department that gets funded in the federal government? The VA. In 2000, the VA had a budget of approximately $45 billion. In 23 years, that budget now is estimated to be about, their current request is, for $310 billion. And here's why I'm going to challenge that. Because there's no guarantee that that increased money has increased benefits for veterans. We hear about it all the time, homeless veterans. Veterans committing suicide. Matter of fact, let me challenge you to this. Ray Hill, recently, in Several Hills, committed suicide. Went to the VA, said, I'm a Vietnam veteran, I'm tired of taking all these drugs you're getting me, and there's this alternate medicine that you do issue. I want it. Doctor said, nah, we're not going to give it to you. Goes home, tells his wife, I can't do this anymore, commits suicide. This happened this year. Nobody got fired. Nobody got released. The bureaucrats continue to do what they do. But you don't hear about Medicaid Medicare, TRICARE, or any other government-supported care where people are committing suicide to get that care. But yet, the Republican Party and the Democrats and everybody blanketly says, you know what? Let's fund the VA better. Instead of saying, let's think differently. Money in government has never been the solution. More staff in government has never been the solution. And we have to start realizing that if we want to fix the broken system where veterans are literally committing suicide for care, we have to uphold our principles of limited government. The civilian sector has done more to keep veterans from committing suicide, to provide help to get veterans out of homelessness and into jobs than the government ever has. But often, we elect people and they will come up and they'll say, you know what, I'm going to build a new hospital. Well, wait a minute, don't we already have doctors out in the community? Well, yes, but this is going to be a veteran hospital. So wait, you're going to spend millions of dollars on brick and mortar for a veteran instead of just paying for the damn care for a veteran? So, I'll give you this example. I'm retired. I have TRICARE. The government pays for my health care. So, the government thinks I'm smart enough to just simply go to the doctor on my own. I call up the doctor, make the appointment, he gives me a referral, I go to my referral, that's fine. But somehow we have bought off on this concept that we need a government doctor, right? So first you have to call a government scheduler to get the government doctor's appointment, right? Then the government doctor sees you, and then they call a government scheduler to send you to another government doctor. Months away, potentially, sometimes years. So you can't do it yourself because you're wounded? Is that limited government? No. It's not. But every year, both parties expand government. Both parties tell us we're going to do more for veterans by throwing more government at it. That is unacceptable. We believe in limited government. Concerned Veterans for America believes in limited government. I don't know to tell you why I get so passionate. Young man, I served in Panama during the years of Noriega. So, young man by the name of Vance Coates. He's out in the front of the barracks, and you know, it's like, come up, I'm an NCO. Vance, what's wrong, man? You know, Sergeant, I think I'm going to die. You know, this is during the time when we're about to have a conflict with Noriega. You can feel it coming. It was months away. I said, no, man, the chance of that, yeah, that's probably not going to happen, man. You'll be good. Look, you got the guys, and we got machine guns, and they got artillery. We have all the tools we need. He was right. He died. And that passion to stand up and be a voice on common sense things is because of Vance and others. I'm going to close with this. The other part of the limited government is we have 750 military bases around this world. We are our brother's keeper to no benefit to America. We had the war on terror, and then in 2019, the Saudis attacked Pensacola. Trillions of dollars spent around the world to supposedly stand up for our freedom and protect us, and we get people killed in Pensacola. We have to really believe in limited government. We need choice in healthcare so people can just go where they need healthcare and stop building buildings and hiring bureaucrats to do stuff. And we need to have a foreign policy that says, if this does not benefit America, we will not fund it. I'm with Concerned Veterans for America. My name is Jimmy T. Smith, and I'll be back there later if you guys want to talk. Limited government saves America.
Superiors is the one who, like, I'm going to go over time and you can't stop me. So anyways, my name is Lance Wissinger. I am the Grassroots Engagement Director for Americans for Prosperity in Hillsborough and Pinellas County. And I just want to thank all of you so much for everything that you have all done. My story is a long story. I was in the delayed entry program for the Air Force, and instead of going into the Air Force, I ended up in prison. It was an unfortunate accident while I was down here in Florida, and I used that mentality that I was going into the military to find success by going through the prison system, and now I help other people find success by going through it. So, with that, thanks. So, with that, like I said, it's a very long, drawn-out story. I'm happy to share it with anyone. If anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to come up and ask me afterward. I will go through every single detail with you and tell you exactly how I ended up in the position I'm in today. But what I really want to talk to you all about is about Americans for Prosperity and the work that we did in the campaign last year. I myself knocked 6,000 doors for Jay Collins. My team of 4 people hit 22,000 doors for Jay Collins across Hillsborough County. Anyone that is interested in getting involved in campaigns and getting involved in going out and knocking doors now and getting to know who your neighbors are and who are out in the community, I can help you with that now. And when we're ready for campaign season, we've already started to get some IDs and know who our voters are and know exactly what doors we're going to be knocking. I don't care if you even go to a campaign. I have opportunities now for people to go and get involved. When the campaigns come around, awesome. Now we've already got a head start. We already know who those people are. So I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time. Like I said, I will answer any questions afterwards. I'm going to stick to my own timer here and make sure that I give time to everybody else. I don't know who's next, but...
Where and when do you meet?
Oh, I do have a meeting. I didn't think about it because I had to cancel it this month. But the 4th or the second Tuesday of the month, I was hanging out with that guy. I don't know what day it is anymore. The second Tuesday of the month, I have what's called Americans for Prosperity at the table, and we talk about different policies each month. And I bring in food. I bring in different restaurants. I'm trying to get different chefs to come in so we can talk about food, but we also talk about an important policy. And last month we talked about healthcare. We had some people from SRQ Health Board come and speak to us. We had some people talk about medical marijuana come talk to us. We had a woman from the Community Patriots that was there talking about healthcare. And everybody else was just community members. And we just wanted to sit down, build friendships, build community, and talk about policy.
And what's your position with the RLC and how long have you been with them?
So I'm the former vice chair of the Lee County Republican Liberty Caucus, and I am now the steering committee chairman, and I am here to represent all of the members in the board meeting and to give a voice to each of the people that are here. And I've been with us since the start, but officially I've been here since I think January is when I signed on. So.
My name is Mike Odell. I am the president and founder of Hillsborough County Veterans Helping Veterans, Inc. We work with needy, homeless, disabled veterans. We help them with their immediate emergency needs. We do not get any government funds. All of our money is from the generosity of the community, and we do everything we can to help every veteran that comes to us for help. We always get those that come to us at the very last minute that need their car payment, their rent, because they've gotten an eviction notice, their power's being turned off. I've been doing this for over 20 years now. I finally stopped procrastinating about 9 years ago, opened up Veterans Helping Veterans, because I was going to all the organizations at the last minute trying to get money to help these people. And I finally figured out that it would be a lot easier if I got the money up front instead of having to do it at the 12th hour. So we have our annual golf tournament that's coming up. I have flyers on a table over there. This is our 8th or 9th, I forget, golf tournament that we're doing at Summerfield Crossings. Last year we gave back just shy of $50,000 into the community of helping our veterans. We have no overhead other than having to pay insurance companies to protect our board of directors. Our board of directors are all veterans. Most of them are retired. I am a medically retired Navy veteran. I went into service at 17 years old, and I was medically retired at 19 years old. I haven't had a day in my life since I was 18 years old that I haven't been in pain. continue to be that way. It's my life, and I do everything I can to help our veterans. I fumbled around for a long time trying to figure out what I was doing with my life when I could no longer be in the service, and I finally figured out my calling was to help veterans, and that's my passion, and that's what I do. I keep my sanity by working on classic cars. I brought one of them out there front tonight. That's what I do for my PTSD. So I appreciate our people that are here today. God bless every person in this room that has served. As you all know, it's such a small percentage of those of us that have served, and people just take us for granted and go on with their life every single day and don't bother paying attention on why they can do what they do every day is because of what we did to protect this country. God bless America.
And Jeff's back.
You gave me the microphone again, you messed up. I'm back again, my name is Jeff Dow. I guess I did well enough the first time, this time I get a microphone. I do want to cover something that I wanted to say initially, but I was asked to come up and I spaced it. Today is about remembering those who gave all. All of us gave some, but some of them gave all. And I'm thankful for all of us that are in here today who understand that, who took that oath, because there are some people who seem to forget that. And thank God for a Colonel Stu Scheller. In my opinion, and this is hard to say, but sir, I think you're one of the last true military officers that we currently have, right? This man did what should have been done by tons of people more superior than him. He's the only one that saw the gravity.
He's the only one that saw the gravity of the scenario and wanted to make a point because it mattered. Those lives mattered. This nation is falling apart. And I think we all see it. We know where it's going. And it's going to take all of us to step up to do something about it. And the first time I was up here,
maybe I like going loud.
Yeah, better command voice.
The first time I was up here, I talked about our oath. One of the things within that oath, it talks about, you guys are going to finish it, all enemies, foreign
And domestic.
But no one talks about what domestic is. We're never thinking about that. You take the oath and you're like, of course, I would stop stuff when I see it. But we see it. And yet we do nothing. Now, I know a lot of people are doing something. This room's packed full of people who are doing something. And one of the things that I really wanted to cover, really a challenge. To those of you in here who have served before, I mentioned, your oath, when you get that DD-214, is it different for officers? Or still? When you get that DD-214, I don't know, I wasn't listening. It doesn't say, here's your outro oath. Your oath ended. Hey, this is the final day of your oath. I host a podcast, and my uniform hangs up behind me on my podcast screen. Why? Because it's a reminder. It's a reminder that I may have hung up that uniform, but my oath to this country continues today. Because if I woke up today, it means that I'm not dead. And if I'm not dead, it means my God is not done with me, with my plan of whatever it is that I have left to do. And I'll challenge the veterans in here. I know your oath didn't expire. Nope. I don't know what capacity of which you want to get involved. I mentioned going to hillsborough.gop. That's a great way. A lot of us in this room are already a part of it, thanks to the RLC and all the other groups as well. I lean towards the Hillsborough GOP because I can hold people accountable. The people who get into office, they need us to go knock those doors for them. That's a very big, powerful motivator. I'm going to challenge the civilians in here as well, because this is our country and this could very well be our final days. I challenge you to find a way that you too can step up, serve, find a capacity in which you're passionate about and something that you can make a difference. The call is there. I know a lot of people, I never hold this against any civilian who's ever said, well, I was gonna serve, but I don't care. You have the opportunity right now to serve your nation at the most crucial time. I encourage you to find a place where you can get involved. I thank you. I'll give you that free extra minute. My name is Jeff Dow, part of the Republican Executive Committee.
Before our final speaker, I would like all the RLCHC people to stand up and say, get their thanks for amazing work. Way back there.
How about a special thanks to you, Dalton Gregory, and Mike Cartwright for putting on a phenomenal event. Absolutely. All the credit.
Please, at this time, I'd like you to recognize Mr. Dave Rizalta in the back of the room. Dave, stand up. I'd like to recognize Mr. George Bishop. Please stand up. I'd like to recognize our chairwoman, Lillian Pride. Please stand up. I'd like to recognize, you already met Lance Messenger, and thank you. And then also Kurt and our new secretary, Dalton Gregory. Let me remind you, he's running for Hillsborough County School Board 2024. Remember that, please. And then now what we're doing is we're building up to introducing our honorary guest speaker. And what I would like to offer is that this man meant a lot to me because I experienced what he did, but on nowhere near the scale. He experienced it on a national scale. I experienced it on a very limited scale, and it nearly devastated me and my family. And so when you get to meet Mr. Scheller, I want to tell you it was a great honor when I reached out. And David, who's going to finish up with the introduction, is the one that helped make that possible. I want to make sure that you know that Mr. David Wallace is running for Pasco State Committee man. And so now let me introduce you to Mr. David Wallace.
Everybody in this room has a passion for this nation. Okay, and some in this room have made that moral stand on principled issues. But anybody in this room knows the truth. The truth is, if you take a moral stand, like our founding fathers did, there is going to be a consequence. And that consequence can be felt throughout the ripple effect. Stu took a moral stand, and because he took a moral stand, his closest circle was directly affected by his stand publicly. His family was directly impacted by his decision. So when you make that moral stand, you need to understand you have to have the courage to follow through, regardless of the consequences, because the principle that you hold dear to your truth, to your heart, has to have the conviction of the follow through. What I would like to do is recognize the people who had the biggest influence on Stu and who have traveled all the way up here to be with him on this event, and that's his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Stuart Scheller. This is his mom over here. His mom over here in the blue on the flag. His father standing over there. They were, yeah, well, I just want you to understand that when you make a stand like Stu did, there's going to be consequences. But the consequences have to be worth it, and they're only worth it is if you do the follow through. And without further ado, Stu, thank you so much for making a stand that you did. Our nation needs more heroes like you.
Hey, great honor. I think I listened to each one of you speak tonight, and I appreciate it. At the local level, making a difference. So normally what I do is I get up here and I talk about my story and what happened. And you can Google me. I've got a book. It's a best-selling Wall Street Journal, USA Today. I made a stand. Instead of them commenting on the content of my statements, they tried to intimidate me. And I think in a lot of situations, people like that would cave. But what kept me going was I felt like I was doing the right thing. And I was a warrior. And those two things guided me all the way to the end. I did some things wrong, but I wouldn't change what I did. And so I'm going to go in a different direction, right? We can do Q&A if you want. But here's, for Memorial Day, I'm going to just tell you a couple war stories. All right, so I was an infantry officer, 17 years, 5 deployments, Valor, all that stuff, right? Bronze Star. So the story I'm going to tell about is General Kelly. He was the Secretary of Homeland Defense under Trump. And he had a son, Robert Kelly. Robert Kelly was in 1-8 with me. This is in my book. And he had a college degree. Now that's really regular, but back then in 2004, 2003, that wasn't as common. He just wanted to go to war. Served in Fallujah, very kinetic, probably the most kinetic experience of Iraq was that push through Fallujah. And then I showed up to 1-8, I served with him, and he was studying for the LSAT. He's a junior enlisted guy. And I'm going to fast forward the story. So he leaves the unit, I go to another deployment to Ramadi, Iraq, and my good friend got blown up, lost his leg, had a Marine die. So literally right after the deployment, I drive up to Walter Reed to visit him. I'm in Walter Reed, Dave's got all these ball bearings coming out of his body. We didn't know if he was going to make it. So now I'm driving back down 95 South from Walter Reed back down to Camp Lejeune. Like all this is going through my head. And I stopped in Quantico. There's a Marine base there. And there's a burrito place called Moe's. So I go into Moe's and there was Kelly. And I was like, Kelly, like, what are you doing in here? Like I thought you would have taken the LSAT and gone and been a lawyer by now. He's like, yeah, I took the LSAT, but right now, you know, Afghanistan's starting to get hot and heavy. I think I'm gonna put in an officer package and become an officer. And I tried to talk him out of it. I was like, dude, you know, you've got a winning lottery ticket here. Just go to law school. Like you've already fought in the most kinetic battle in Iraq ever. You have nothing else to prove. Like it's time to cash in the ticket. And he's like, yeah, I feel like there's something about America that's worth fighting for, and if our people are downrange, I want to be the commander that leads them. And keep in mind, I had just come from my friend who had lost a leg, who was trying to battle back from his injury, in his words, so that he could go lead Marines again. And then I have this young Marine tell me this, and so I'm driving back down 95 South. I hadn't been to Afghanistan yet at that point. And so I end up going to Afghanistan. I get a year deployment. And while I'm there, Robert Kelly was out in Sangin and stepped on a pressure plate ID and died immediately. And so, you know, it hit me hard. I was an officer, he was enlisted. We had a pretty unique relationship, and even though I outranked him, I looked up to him in a lot of ways. And towards the end of my deployment, there was a Secretary of Defense at the time, the guy's name was Robert Gates, and he, when 3-star General Kelly's son died, brought 3-star Kelly onto his staff to kind of take him under his wing. And then Robert Gates, in the final chapters of the Afghanistan war, was like, I want to go have solidarity with the troops. So they looked on what we called a significant event tracker. They found the worst place in Afghanistan, and that's where I was at. And so Robert Gates and General Kelly showed up to our base. Now we got shot with indirect rounds every day. Every day. And when they were visiting, it was the 101st, they flooded the battle zone with over 1,000 soldiers, and that was like the one day we didn't get shot at. So it was like, still frustrated by that. Like, it's not that bad out here. I'm like, yeah, there's like 30 guys left on this base because they're all out there right now. And so, you know, Robert Gates is talking to the battalion commander and the commanders. I was only a captain then. And General Kelly sees the only Marine on this Army base, and so he walks up to me and he's like, what are you doing here? I was like, I counter ID deployment, it's different. They attached me to the Army, kind of out here in cowboy country doing my own thing. I explained to him what I was doing. And then when the conversation made sense, because I had met him one other time with his son, I was like, hey, we met before, AP Hill, your son, I just want you to know he had a big impact on me. And I told him a little bit about that story in Moe's, and he just kind of shook it off. You could see, like, if you could read a face, you could see that the pain was too palpable to really talk, so he pivots the conversation, and then you're emotionally intelligent to just not bring it up again. And then the conversation breaks and he walks away, right? And so, now, take that story. By the way, my buddy Dave Borden, who lost his leg, a year later goes back and chops it above the knee, and then a year later deploys to Afghanistan, does 2 deployments in Afghanistan on a prosthetic leg. Then he ends up retiring medically as a major. So contrast that story with Afghanistan and how it ended. And babies being held, pushed over barbed wire. And you're a Marine and you're told to just stand post. And you're grabbing babies. And when I made the statement that I made, one of those Marines sent me a DM message on my social media, like, very angry with me. And the reason he was angry is because this young enlisted Marine was pulling Marines, dragging them, putting tracheas in their throats, and here was some lieutenant colonel saying this is all, excuse my language, bullshit, and it invalidated their sacrifices to a certain extent. So you have to understand the psychology of that, and I get that. But those Marines' points, and this is really, I'll get to my point here in a second, those Marines' points, all those people on the ground, they're like, it's not political. It's about America, it's about the country. But the truth is, when you really study this problem, anything in foreign policy is political. And all of those people are under an agenda where they're sold this facade of it's for America, it's for nationalism, and at the same time it's driven by agendas of people that they're not even paying attention to. And so it's fucking frustrating. So I've been doing a lot. So when I published this book, I did 6 months of doing this, literally mostly GOP, the Black Republican Club, the Women's Republican Club, the Yacht Republican Club, and I've been doing them all over the country, right? And it's all good people trying to get involved. And one of the things I just did was I did a documentary, and I don't know, maybe it'll come out, like, big talk, like Netflix, like, we'll see. But here's my point. I called my buddy who lost his leg and said, hey man, they're looking for combat wounded veterans. Like, your story's so inspiring. You lost your leg, you were in surgeries for 1.5 years, fought back, went downrange in Afghanistan, did 2 deployments. Like, that's who should be interviewed, not me. And he responded, I can't do it. And so it's a sensitive topic, but I came back and said, hey man, humility is very important, but also telling the story is very important. That Marine that died, Lance Corporal Gluff, I think telling his story would be very important. And his response to me was, every day I get up, obviously I think about it. I'm missing a fucking leg, And so, what is Memorial Day to me? Memorial Day is about recognizing the sacrifices, but what this is really about is people being active in a community, because everything is driven by politics as much as you want to believe that it's not. And so what is nationalism? It should be belief in a country. So if there is anything where a military member wants to say it's not about politics, well, it's like, here, when I got out, because I was, really everything I did was not political. I never once said President Biden's name. Every headline was Stuart Scheller criticizes President Biden's botched Afghanistan withdrawal. My criticism was on the military generals. I wasn't really political at all. I'm conservative, obviously, but I'm not political. And so when I got out, it was very much about unity. We need unity. But now, the more I've studied this problem, because all I did was town halls, politics for the last year, helping campaigns. I don't know that there's unity. It's almost like you have to fight for what you want, and then you got. My question would be what can we all agree on? What can we as Americans all agree on? And I guess the answer I've come to is America should be worth fighting for. Amen. And so, if we can't agree on that, then we are truly lost. But if we can't agree America is worth fighting for, then that's what all those people that you just heard speak before me, that's what they're doing. They're fighting for it. And so that when some Marine's getting a baby over the barbed wire, he can say it's for America, and that he's trying to do the right thing because of the people fighting back here. So, So what I'll do is I'll do a little bit of question and answer. Usually, it's kind of heavy. I don't mean to bring the room down. But usually, there's this moment where we do a Q&A, and then I look at you, and we all look at me, and then one person asks a question, then we start rolling. So, yeah, we just speed up the first question. There we go, right there.
What can we do for you here to support you guys?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Florida's a great place. Representative Mast was one of the most helpful people to me as I went through this. It's funny too, because in the veteran community, someone like Representative Crenshaw gets a lot of attention, and he didn't do anything for me. All of them. Byron reached out to me. Waltz was helping me. Florida has, Kat Kamek was helping me. Florida has a strong group of U.S. congressmen and women. And so I just keep getting pulled back here. I did the first 3 weeks in October last year here. I came back for another 2 weeks because there's so many good events and people down here. It's hard to stay away from Florida. My parents have a bunch of real estate down here, I have a family, but your question is what can you do for me? I think I need to figure out what I want before I start asking people for help, and I don't know if I'm there yet. Yes, sir.
Stu, I did a little dive on you personally after this went down before I asked you to come down here. In your thesis statement that you wrote about foreign policy, how did that thesis statement affect you doing what you did?
Yeah, so the question, most people just think I'm like some angry lieutenant colonel. I'm actually pretty smart, believe it or not. And I have a master's in military science, right? So to what he's referencing, I wrote a 75-page paper on how America can conduct foreign policy more effectively. And my contention was the lack of integration between DOS and DOD, Department of State, Department of Defense. And then General McKinsey used the excuse that the Department of State didn't call the evacuation fast enough, so it wasn't his fault, which is BS. But I was just like, so glaringly obvious. So the question is like, how did it impact me? It dramatically impacted me. A lot of the arguments that were used against me is like, why now? It was almost like they were saying that because they felt like it was political. I was only doing it because Biden was in office. And the truth is, I saw things in Iraq and Afghanistan, it's in my book, that didn't make sense. Like, you go do it, and it doesn't make sense. When I was 23, I wanted to have a gun, 30 dudes follow me, and go get into a fight. Like, that's what I wanted to do. Right, wrong, or indifferent, right? But you see these things that don't make sense, and then you think, I'm 24 years old, I've got an accounting degree, and that's about it. Like, this doesn't make sense, but there's probably somebody else that has a deeper perspective, and I'm just ignorant. Then you go, and that thing happens, like different things, but you keep observing these things. And so once I wrote my master's and I had 17 years of experience and I got to that place and I was watching real time in the news, now that we're all connected by technology and seeing the decisions that were made, I realized there wasn't something that eluded me. I understood the process and how it worked, and I understood the failures of my senior leaders, and I also understood that my leaders would not have the moral courage to say anything. And I felt our junior service members deserved validation of somebody telling the truth, and so I did. Right here.
Well, I know exactly what you're saying, and I'm just a girl that did not have military training or anything that you've had. But, you study the Civil War, you study any of the wars, and like we say, honor the veterans. But what about honoring the life of a soldier? And that's what you're talking about, and I totally get it. It's like when you have orders for someone, or when the State Department tells military men what to do because you have a weak president. I mean, it's like, how do you wrap your head around it when you actually know these soldiers?
Yeah.
And I value those 13 lives, and I didn't even know them because they were put in an impossible situation.
Absolutely.
And I totally get what you're saying. I totally respect you for it. And it's a privilege to see you in person, by the way.
Thank you.
You're much more handsome.
Oh, keep it coming.
Because it's complicated. Because you're going against precedent
Yeah.
of idiocy.
I know. All right.
It's terrible.
See, there wasn't a question in that, but I'm going to make a question out of it, so I appreciate that. So here's a question for you. What's the problem? Why do we have such weak leaders at the top? And I think here's my answer to that. Oh, hear me out. Listen to what I have to say, and then you can judge me after. In every branch of service, if I am a commander, so let's say I'm a captain, and these are my lieutenants, and I have 5 lieutenants. Whether I'm an F-16 pilot or I'm an infantry officer or anything, that's how it works. I, as the boss, rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it should be based on performance. So it should be me observing these 5 F-16 pilots and saying, you're the best pilot, so you're number 1, you're the second best. But what happens is, I say, you're the best pilot. I told you twice to stop talking in the meetings, and you're making me look bad. I'm the commander, you're number 3, right? And so a 4-star general takes 40 years. It's not the best performer. It's the person that gets their boss to like them the most. And so when you have General Carter Ham, he's an AFRICOM combatant commander during Benghazi. Yep. He was watching Americans fight 1v1000 on TV screens. Had 8 military options. There's a moral dilemma that we'll never study. A military officer is supposed to follow the orders he's given unless it's immoral, illegal, or unethical. Immoral or unethical are subjective. It's the same, Jeff was talking about up here, about the oath. In my letter of reprimand, my general wrote that I was narcissistic and that I had violated my oath. And in my response to him, I said, you know, they didn't deem me narcissistic when you give me a command-directed mental health evaluation, and I think I upheld the oath more than you. Why does it mean something different? Again, it's an academic debate. But going back to Carter Ham, the reason he didn't send those military forces and he just did what he was told, he over 40 years has been conditioned to get his boss to please him, and those people in those positions that we need to stand up and uphold the values of America, they're literally left with the people that just have gotten their bosses to like them. Okay, next question. I'm going to go back corner.
Colonel. Hey, in your book, you talk about senior leadership and other Marines and Department of Defense, etc. Can you call them out? Have you heard anything from any of them?
You know, it's a great question, Jerry. I know Jerry, so that's why I laughed when he said hoorah. So, in fact, Jerry and I did a couple events in Florida together. Great question. I did all that media, and that was one of the questions. It was actually a podcast host. And he called Marine Corps Public Affairs and tried to ask them questions about some of the, like I didn't hold back. I listed names. And they were all real names. And the Marine Corps stance is, we're not going to do anything about it, we're not going to talk about it, we're not going to comment. So the Marine Corps was just like, look away, we're not going to ask any follow-up questions, because there's some like illegal stuff in that book, but that's fine. You know, from my perspective. But we can talk offline, but I had one of my friends come, who I put in the book, that got mistreated, and he's had people asking him about it, and he had to confirm it, like, yeah, it happened. So it's one of those things that I just think it was a very hard story to read, and a lot of people read it, and it'll probably be one of those things that's just going to take time for the dust to settle on that. But nothing's happened is the answer to your question. Sir?
I have two questions. The easy one is, how many people did we leave behind in Afghanistan still? The second one is, what's going on with this business that they're teaching critical race at West Point?
Yeah.
Supposedly there were transgenders at some army base in Frankfurt, and now they want to change the names of a lot of military bases, especially in the South, that are named after Southern generals like Fort Bragg, like Braxton Bragg.
Yeah,
So
Fort Liberty.
what the heck is going on with all of that?
All right, so two-part question. How many people we left behind? So I have a different position than a lot. Like at this point, you know, Afghanistan is not that big. Like, how have you not walked to the border by now? If you're still trapped in there, like, help yourself a little bit. But in the beginning, American citizens, it was thousands. And, Afghani partners, tens of thousands. So, I mean, it was just off. It was such a bad constructed operation, just through and through. It was just careless thought. It was poor planning. It was poor leadership. Your second question, there absolutely is a push. So there's like a vogue term of woke generals. Really, when people say that, like, you have to define, I have to define what is wokeism. In my opinion, that is placing social/racial initiatives over the performance of the organization. So in the military, the performance metric should be warfighting capability, and anything that is a priority above that can be seen as a detractor. Again, academic debate can be argued. There are many, here's where I think it's gone off the rails. What the military has done in all its military schools, so I went to 2 formal schools for a total of 2 years. In the Marine Corps, it's Expeditionary Warfare School and Command Staff, and then when you're going into Colonel, it's War College. So those are the 3 stops along your education process, and it's similar for all the branches. Those are now all taught by PhDs, and they brought those PhDs in to get them accredited for your masters and your PhDs, right? But in doing that, all those PhDs, not all, but the vast majority of them are very liberal and do not have any military experience. So then when you start, I just got into a huge argument online. I actually won this one, she backed off. But she wrote in the Foreign Affairs, I thought was like a pretty reputable thing. And she was just blasting all these people's positions, and then used me to say that I was like ultra conservative because I couldn't even remember, it was like the most ludicrous, and I was like, how do they even publish this? And so then I looked her up. And I was like, University of Southern California, Berkeley. And I was like, and then she went to the Naval Academy, and then she got hired by the University of Chicago as the military expert. And I was like, you have no idea what it's like to be in the military. You know, you're trying to counsel me, and but see, like that voice in foreign affairs, people are like, oh, foreign affairs, legit article. Oh, this is a military professional. Oh, this must be legit. No one takes the time to like research the background of that talking head, because once you do, you realize it's hollow. That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you for speaking. I was also an officer of the Marine Corps. But
You didn't have to say you're a woman. That was clear.
So I worked as an adjutant on the Marine Corps base. So I was, before I even joined the Marines, I don't know if you've read, but War is a Racket.
Yeah, Stanley Butler.
So basically, his entire book speaks about like the government, the business interests of war, and he was like a decorated general from the Marines. So kind of going into the Marines, I knew that it was going to be like a moral dilemma the entire time. Like I was very conscious of this, right? I had a journal, like everyone walks to school that was like, how am I going to handle this, and what am I going to do about, how am I going to be able to like continue my moral stance, knowing that this is the truth.
Yeah.
So my question for you is just, and as I continued on in my career, I did, I was witness to a lot of, just inequities. And I had to like make decisions on if I'm going to like stand up against these or if I'm going to submit and just kind of turn away. And I didn't submit and turn away. So you might be telling my story another time. But my question for you is that like I think that you did a great job by staying in and like having a moral compass throughout your career, and then taking a moment that was had validity to stand up and say, hey, this is not right.
Yeah.
But I guess throughout your career, how do you handle like those moral dilemmas?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer, having been to TBS yourself, is it's MET-T dependent.
Yeah.
Right? So what we used to tell lieutenants.
Tell them what MET-T means.
I'm going to explain it. Calm down, people. Calm down. The room's turning. Okay. MET-T means essentially mission dependent use your judgment. It's an acronym we have so that lieutenants can very quickly fill in information. And so the question was, in any bureaucracy, Marine Corps being one of the biggest ones, there are inequities or injustices that you see along the way. You're not going to make it very far in that organization if you're the moral crusader, like, that's wrong, no, you can't do that, boss, that's wrong. Like, obviously, I didn't get to a 17 years sitting battalion commander by pointing out every injustice. I didn't. I just swallowed a lot of them. But obviously, I got to this, like, major breaking point. And there's no right or wrong answer. So a lot of people come and relate exactly as you do. And I even had one where it was a lieutenant, poor young guy. I thought he had left. And he came up and we bought a book beforehand, and he said, I want to post a picture of you, but my captain said I can't. So like there's a very small moral dilemma, right? Yeah. And so I used that as an example in my speech, and I shouldn't have. And then I like literally as I'm saying it, I see him in the front row. I was like, oh. So then he stands up and asks the question, like, well, when do I make these decisions? And you just can't give somebody the right answer. And to counter that though, all the people, I had probably like 5 key arguments against me. And one of the big arguments against me was, if you want to change the system, you have to stay in long enough to get to a position where you can make change. But I fundamentally reject that. Like, I've thought deeply about this. If you just play by the rules of the system, over 40 years, 4-star general, you become the very thing you were trying to change. The system will change you into that. That's what the system's there for, is to literally build and create you and mold you into that thing. Especially in a system where all those people at the top are choke points through subjective evaluations to make sure you reflect the exact same things as them. So, yeah, I mean, for me, like, Lieutenant Colonel was like the last stop of like Warrior King, because once you're Colonel General, you just can't do it anymore. Yeah.
And
Yeah, yes ma'am.
Yeah, what shade lipstick would you have picked if you stayed in?
Yeah, come find me later. Yeah.
A serious question.
Do you have a serious question? Yeah, go ahead.
So, did you see before you left there that a lot of the younger soldiers were really starting to question things, or no?
No, I mean, it's the COVID thing was a real shock to the system. So the COVID thing was just done, technically, I mean, legally it was illegal. There's now a lawsuit, class action lawsuit in Texas by a bunch of Navy SEALs. I met one of them when I was out in Memphis last month. And, you know, it's just like the president had to make that order, but it was a SecDef, and then it was like emergency use, not the FDA. I mean, it's just a mess. And so there was young guys that were like, I don't want to do this. Some of them caved, some of them held out. But before that, I never saw that. The COVID was like, and then at Afghanistan, it was like all at the same time, just very combustible. And the true fallout hasn't even happened yet. The recruiting crisis is going to impact this. I don't know how they're going to solve it. Like if I was the Secretary of Defense, it would be in terms of creating teams and winning organizations, and I would just let the recruiting like fall and tail. Because if you just chase recruiting, it's not going to work with the current leadership, in my opinion. But yeah, one other thing I want to say, and then I'll come back over here. The United States military, I'm not a pessimist. The United States military, $850 billion. That's larger than most countries' GDP. We have the best young, educated talent. I've worked at all the entry-level schools, School of Infantry, the basic school, Officer Candidate School, at least on the Marine Corps side. And these people are studs. We have the best training facilities, like other countries come and train us. The only thing that needs to be changed is our leadership. And after World War I, there's a guy named Marshall that came in, cleaned up the general officer class, allowed someone like Eisenhower to ascend. And I think that's what we need as a Secretary of Defense. Like, Austin is not it.
Thank you for coming to the free state of Florida. We want to know when you're going to move to Florida.
Yeah, if I did, it would be in the 12th district for Congress.
Oh, really? We want to know how you got to meet Jay Collins and tell us more about that relationship. We think you should write a book. Oh, wait, you wrote a book. We want to hear more about that book, and then also if you'll tell us your website so the people that don't buy a book now can buy it later in the future. Will you tell us about that, please?
My website's AuthenticAmericans.com. StuartScheller.com redirects to it. All my social media is at Stuart Scheller. All my social media is tied to my website, AuthenticAmericans.com. And I'm gonna hang out. Yeah, so yeah, I see. Let's just do. If you got another question, just come find me at the table and buy like 6 books. And I'll 6 books. Just meet me over here. All right, I'm walking off. Thank you, everybody.